Howdy folks, and welcome to my full retrospective on Dishonored, a first-person action-adventure game developed by Arcane Studios and published by Bethesda. Dishonored released in 2012 to a lot of praise from critics and players alike for its interesting premise, engaging gameplay mechanics, and tough player decisions. Combining industrialization with specialized technology and a splice of the occult, the city of Dunwall, where our story takes place, works perfectly to set the stage for the universe you'll be exploring. The visuals reminded me of an impressionist painting where realism blended with colors and shapes. The visual style holds up to this day and made certain environments or even characters vividly memorable. The player's progression of movement and ability is one of the most satisfying gameplay achievements I've ever experienced, and the ceiling for what you can do in this game is wild. If you've never watched the speedrun videos, you're missing out. But not everyone was happy with the game, and it boiled down to the story, which I have my mixed opinions on. A lot of critics argued the narrative had missteps, especially in the later half of the game, or that the individual levels were fascinating, but the overarching plot was not. And I don't think they're necessarily wrong. However, there is a huge caveat to this. You need to play the game. I know, shocker, right? Reading these reviews for Dishonored and constantly seeing the response to the story rather than what made the game good annoyed me. It annoyed me because the story does have its flaws, but this wasn't an RPG. Nor was Corvo some smooth talker or political savant. It seemed like the reviews didn't take the time to read any of the books, talk with the side characters, or do their due diligence to incorporate themselves into the world. Rather, wanting the world to come to them, and that's not how Dishonored plays. What would the same reviewers have said about Gordon Freeman, another silent protagonist whose narrative on paper isn't the most mind-blowing? But if you've played Half-Life 2, you know why it's one of the best games ever created. And I do bring up Half-Life 2 for a reason, which we'll get to a little later. For now, we'll be focusing on Dishonored's visual style, level design, gameplay progression, soundscape, and of course, the story, while also not shying away from fair critiques. Join me in putting on our retrospective lenses and adventure through the whole game of Dishonored plus its 2 DLC stories to get the full picture of what made Dishonored so good. And there is a lot to talk about, so let's get started. The game starts off with a narration from the Empress, detailing that she has sent Corvo, her loyal protector, out on some sort of mission to bring back a cure for an anonymous plague. Our first view of the game comes from Wrenhaven River and taking control of Corvo's point of view. What an introduction this is.
A long way to bring bad news. The sailors say there's a curse on us. Black magic.
Superstition. For all we know, there's a cure for the plague by now.
From the eerie music to the technology on display and industrial pipes spewing smog in the background, something felt off, in a good mystery kind of way. Dishonored gets a lot of visual details right, which makes the world feel tangible. One of the best things I noticed was most of the moving objects in the game had legitimate engineering behind them. Seeing the wheels turn for the water made this moment stick with me. Before I forget, one of the guards gives us the timeline. Corvo has been gone for a couple of months trying to search for a cure, which I'm assuming was a no-go since there's no ticker tape parade for us. However, there is one person waiting for us, and it is Emily, the Empress's daughter, who is interested in hearing about Corvo's adventures, but also wants to know how to use stealth in the game through a hide-and-seek tutorial.
Let's play hide-and-seek first. I'll cover my eyes and you hide. You have time? Mother's busy talking to that nasty old spy master.
Even beating the game, I was kind of confused on how stealth worked. Enemies have the over-the-head indicator, but I more questioned when I was concealed versus not. Most games have a meter showcasing how hidden you are. I never knew if shadows or shrubbery truly concealed me, but that didn't stop anything. We can find Sokolov and Campbell, 2 important characters later on, and they both have intriguing lines of dialogue. Campbell, the one being painted, states that Corvo has been traveling pleading for aid from other island nations.
They sent him all around the Isles to beg for aid.
I love that small line since it builds up the world in the player's mind knowing there are other empires or countries. And it had me questioning if Campbell was fed false news since our mission was to find the cure. Sokolov suggests his elixir will remedy the situation, so he's some sort of scientist savant. You can also talk to Campbell more, which produces some faith-based "the plague came from us all, we must repent."
Remember, to every man his choice, to every man his fate.
Corvo approaches the Empress, talking to some Lex Luthor guy, discussing how to save citizens from the plague.
They're my citizens, and we will save them from the plague if we can. All of them.
Very well.
We will not speak of this again.
Mother, Corvo is back.
Thank you, Emily. Leave us, please.
Corvo. 2 days early. Full of surprises, as usual.
We give her the report, and unfortunately, no other city-state has dealt with the plague before. Even worse is that a blockade will probably take place.
Mother is fine. Wait, where are the guards? Who sent them away?
Mother, look! What are they doing on the rooftop?
What?
I absolutely love this transition. From the written lines to the visuals, this setup is perfect. We get our combat tutorial in a highly stressful situation, and for as good as Corvo is, there seems to be some deeper powers at play.
Corvo, thank you. If you hadn't been here... No more! Not again!
Mommy!
No! Get away from her! Corvo!
Mommy! Get away! Corvo!
Corvo, it's all coming apart.
Emily is kidnapped and Corvo rushes to the Empress's body to hear her last word. Lex Luthor and other guards conveniently show up at this time. Corvo is accused of murdering the Empress and abducting Emily, and we have our first mission, escaping Coldridge prison.
Her own bodyguard. Ironic.
I'll see you beheaded for this, Corvo. Take him.
One minor critique was the information on the loading screens. Sometimes it would display information that I thought told too much, or outright spoiled certain narrative beats. Plus, with the fast loading times, I accidentally skipped ones that might have had useful information. My qualm with this one is that it just states the timeline skips to 6 months later. Usually a game has a more organic way of telling the player. Corvo awakens being tortured by Campbell and Lex Luthor, or the Lord Regent, trying to get him to sign a confession slip, implicating him fully in the Empress's murder and the kidnapping of Emily. But since it's been 6 months, I don't know if Corvo is going to crack.
Enough for now. Get out. Let's give the man some time to think.
They also make it known that they were in on this coup d'etat from the beginning, telling Corvo they know where Emily is and that all of this is for the greater good. How many times have we seen this before? The aesthetic fascism overtones with the religious undertones, like Campbell wearing a clerical collar, fit in well to the universe the player is seeing being created before their very eyes. And all of this has a reason and a place. You just have to search out for it.
Even though you almost sank our plans. But it turned out well. You were in the wrong place at the right time.
We get our first Half-Life 2 reference, and it's not going to be the last one. For 2012, Dishonored's visuals are fantastic, and a true testament to my thesis on focused visualization and style leads to a greater longevity for a game, rather than developers focusing on realism for their time. Regardless, Corvo is given a hunk of bread and a key from some unknown admirer, and we start the jailbreak. One of the reviews I read after finishing the game described Dishonored as a mix of Deus Ex and BioShock, giving the player a wide array of choices and rewarding whichever they chose, while also giving unique visual flares throughout the level. I kind of chuckled at first and then realized how spot on this description was. Dishonored has a lot of influences that I think benefits the game, and the developers found a way to make it their own. For example, yes, you could kill every last guard in here. I probably would if I was Adam Jensen, but parrying is hard when you're crowded by 4 enemies at any point in this game. Dealing with rooms and patrolling guards sometimes was the best option, but there were other situations where leaving everyone alone worked wonders. Dishonored had so many split-time decisions for the player to make, which makes each encounter exhilarating. Even at the start, those choices get more complicated when certain mechanics get unlocked. Levels get larger or more devious methods of neutralization are found. Corvo finds the interrogation room, and we get our first letter, the game's main way of conveying exposition or lore. I enjoy this type of storytelling because it's up to the player to decide how much they want to dive into this rabbit hole. At least for me, reading the documents alleviated many of the questions I had going through the game, and made me excited to find points of interest off the main road that opened up the universe, especially in the DLCs. This letter gives us the information that the people who set us up for murder and kidnapping are playing smart. Wanting a written confession from Corvo takes away all deniability of their ascension to the throne. Especially calling for a public execution in the mid-19th century industrialization, there was something draconian about this world.
Corvo's unconscious again, though he's taken more punishment than the 2 men we brought in for interrogation. When he wakes, we'll start again.
Even though you can't walk anywhere without the sound lowering, these audiograph machines were an interesting object and narrative mechanic. We read more about something called an overseer and how certain children undertake a ritual to become one, or die in the process. Jeez Louise. The admirer who got us the key to our cell also left Corvo an explosive charge, and we make our escape. Now, that's a cool visual. With guards shooting us and alarms blaring, Corvo narrowly escapes through the sewer system. We keep getting a breadcrumb trail of loot from whoever orchestrated the breakout, and get another establishing line about Corvo from some patrolling guards.
You're afraid of him? He's Sir Conan. It's all merchants and whores down there.
I'm pointing these moments out now since it kind of baffles me this wasn't picked up on the reviews. Maybe the story of Corvo's revenge goes one way, but everything around him has nuance and weight. Going through the sewers, we witness a party of rats, which are not friendly at all. They seem to be eating corpses, and if I remember anything from 7th grade history, they probably carry the plague. And oh boy, does there seem to be a plague plaguing Dunwall, since dropping bodies into your water systems probably isn't the sign of a healthy society. Dishonored shows a lot more than it tells, and the visuals are there to support that type of world building. But I feel like I've seen this before. Maybe I've just been in too many video game sewers the past couple of months. Corvo gets all his equipment, a nifty crossbow, and a sturdy sword, which is literally all he needs. Screw the pistol, it's too loud. We continue through the sewers and the atmosphere could not be better.
Attention, Dunwall citizens. The assassin Corvo, responsible for the murder of our fair empress and the disappearance of Lady Emily, heir to the throne, has temporarily escaped state custody.
Corvo is introduced to Samuel, who claims that a group of people set about our escape and that he could take us there. So we set off.
I'll take you to meet them. Just down the river from here.
Ouch, not very good stats. I'm glad that the game shows you what you did and the things you missed. It was a reminder that killing has a toll, and sort of remembering how a full chaos run ends, I would try my best to avoid that. Regardless, we take the boat with Samuel to the Hound Pit's pub, a pseudo-quarantine part of the city and host to the Loyalists. Samuel also mentions that the Lord Regent, the guy I was calling Lex Luthor, who is not very happy we've escaped prison, has started ripping up neighborhoods in search for us.
Take you up to meet Admiral Havelock and the rest of the Loyalists. The Admiral's a man to be reckoned with. If anyone can help you find that missing girl, Lady Emily, and clear your name, he can.
We enter the pub and come across Admiral Havelock and Lord Pendleton, having a conversation about us being quote-unquote their man. We're introduced and both carry significant power in their respective circles, Pendleton being from the nobility and the ex-admiral's military ties. No matter how powerful they are, they need Corvo to do their particulars, shall we say. Regime change is a hard cookie.
But we all act as equals here at the Hound Pit's pub.
This is a momentous occasion, Corvo. I'm going to come out with it. We've been building a coalition of loyalists, aimed at ending the Lord Regent's tyranny and restoring the throne.
At risk of execution, we're committed to finding young Lady Emily and seeing her crowned as Empress.
We've got big plans, but we can't do any of it without you.
Knowing there are different factions within this realm all vying for power felt real. The Admiral tells us that we should go see Piero, some genius mechanic who speaks way too slowly. He does fashion Corvo our iconic assassin's mask, and has lots of upgrades to choose from.
Center lens out of alignment. There. Better now?
I like this mechanic since in preceding levels it made me avidly search for coin knowing I could upgrade my gear, which led to more exploration and different playstyle than I expected I would go for. Corvo takes to bed but awakens to some nightmare dream realm and we meet the Outsider.
Hello, Corvo. Your life has taken a turn, has it not? The Empress is dead. Her precious daughter Emily is lost somewhere in the city, and you will play a pivotal role in the days to come. For this I have chosen you, and drawn you into the void.
The Outsider is some sort of god or demon who gives Corvo an occult mark on his left hand and tells us to come find him. We get our first power blink and walk through the events leading to our imprisonment. The Outsider also lets Corvo know to look out for runes with his mark in the underbelly of our world. These runes will be the progression mechanic of our powers and another fun addition to the exploration mechanic. We're also given a heart which helps find runes, but it also has voice lines from the Empress. I completely forgot to use it after this moment, and I wonder if it would talk about other levels or things since Corvo is silent throughout the game.
Someday this place will devour all the lights in the sky.
Corvo is given one last spooky address from the Outsider about how he'll be watching us with interest and how the power given to us falls on us to use, like the others before. That's a great line because it establishes that we're not unique.
How you use what I have given you falls upon you, as it has to the others before you.
Well, I chose to explore with Blink for the first 10 minutes of game time. Figuring out distances, trying to find secrets, having this small map to experiment with was a great idea, and again goes back to player agency. You could absolutely beeline to the main quest, but I would be flummoxed if right after learning about the runes and what they do, you wouldn't be searching out for them in every single level. The game's mechanics lend themselves to the player wanting to do more with them, and that progression is met with appreciation from the level design choices and narrative moments. We meet back up with the Admiral, and I guess we're not telling a soul that we've been visited by the Outsider. The Admiral explains that we have to become an assassin to restore Emily to the throne, and our first target is Campbell himself.
To those ends, we'll hide, act in shadow, take them apart, piece by piece. Tonight, High Overseer Campbell dies by your hand.
It won't be easy though, as Campbell has a posse of his religious zealots keeping him guard, but if anyone can do it, we can. But it's not just the kill we're looking for. Intel suggests that Campbell has a black book on him that acts as a personal journal and might have the location of Emily, which is essential to this whole plot. Corvo is also told about Martin, a former overseer that has been imprisoned or something, and if we see him, we should help him out. As we try to leave, Callista, one of the other workers around here, tells us of her uncle Jeff, who is apparently going to get poisoned by Campbell this very night. I wasn't expecting so many side quests or things to think about on my first assassination attempt. I don't even know if I'll be good at it.
There's really no reason for you to listen to me, but my uncle, Jeff Kernow, still serves as captain in the City Watch. But he's a good man, and my only family. My uncle's not corruptible like the rest of them. Campbell is going to poison my uncle. Do you think you could protect him?
Jokes aside, it was a lot to think about at first, but the game does ease you in when you start the actual mission. Samuel takes us on the boat, explaining that the streets are in a police state, using the plague as carte blanche on evictions and mistreatment of citizens. He also mentions someone named Granny Rags, who we will get to know well later on. Again, the visuals are striking and are accompanied by some good voice work.
Hey! What is it?
I think that last one was moving.
What?
Yeah, the little one.
Not possible. I inspected them myself. Keep working.
Hearing these two guards casually talking while throwing bodies onto a morgue ship was haunting. Then witnessing them deliberate on whether a body was still moving and laughing it off was horrifying and a great scene setter. We walk around literally for 2 minutes before meeting Granny Rags, who seems to be a bit kooky.
My eyes aren't what they used to be. Have you seen my little birdies? Ah, the dear things must be starving without their granny. Here, birdies. Here.
We help her out with some ruffians and she gives us a rune, mentioning the outsider gave it to her and now it's ours. So I guess the outsider is known to more than just us. Speaking of the devil, we find a shrine behind Granny Rags' place, and I guess this is the way of talking with the outsider. This was a interesting way for the game to subtly show the player that shrines would be hidden away and that you'll get narrative from them.
You're on your way to face the High Overseer, the leader of a great cult dedicated to loathing me. What will you do, I wonder?
You'll miss a lot if you don't have these conversations. The outsider tells us that Granny Rags was once a noble woman who corrupted herself through choices, now ponders what Corvo's choices will be, hinting at the player there will be ramifications for actions. Speaking of ramifications, Granny Rags gives us a second mission, tasking us to break into some doctor's home to find a plague mutagen he's been studying and sneakily dose the still of bootleg plague elixir the gang that's been knocking on Granny's door has been selling. Oh, that's a lot. Walking through Dunwall gave off so many vibes. As many influences as the gameplay took from other games, so too does the atmosphere. And again, this isn't a bad thing, but I would go crazy if I didn't talk about it. Dunwall as a city is a mix of City 17 from Half-Life 2 and Innsmouth from Dark Corners of the Earth. I swear, some of the characters remind me of both of these games too.
That's not what we heard.
It was just a cold.
Are you sure? Because you know we have to check you over. And there's an inspection fee.
To the void with Bottle Street and to the void with you. Let me out.
Oh, you don't want to talk to us like that. Fact is, Bottle Street is here to take its cut. So reach into your pockets and let's get this done.
And I wasn't too surprised to learn from the wiki that Viktor Antonov was the visual design director. This game has been recommended by a lot of commentators from previous retrospectives, especially when it came to interior designs, which I geek out on. I'm happy to say Dishonored, especially for its time, knocks it out of the park with the unique settings and visuals we'll be exploring throughout its various levels. I love the wooden interior of the doctor's lab. Then perusing through all the scientific equipment and development room made me feel like I was actually infiltrating someone's laboratory. And there's another aspect to this quest too. What the hell is this doctor doing with the plague? Well, it's interesting. You can find notes and an audiograph detailing the doctor's work. Some notable items were the thought of mites passing the plague, and the usage of Sokolov and Piero's remedies, if someone uses enough of the stuff. Another interesting question the doctor brings up is the age of the plague and its origin. He's confused that rats dissected from the port are newer to the plague, while rats deeper in the slums carried the oldest strains, meaning that the plague probably wasn't brought by a foreign influence, even if the doctor hypothesizes it in an audio log. I don't know why I wanted to help Granny Rags poison the still. Maybe it was to find out more about the outsider. Maybe it was the fact I wanted to do every side mission I could, or maybe I wanted to see how chaotic it would be. Each sublevel has a flair for elegance, even in the sheer dilapidated nature of its surroundings. Industry is still working in Dunwall despite the plague, coups d'etats, and other wavering factors. I also enjoyed the fact that the eavesdropping on guards could grant you a lot of details if the player was willing to wait around a bit.
Word is he's like a phantom, with an army of shadows in front of him. That guy down? Ain't he just a boss? Like Slackjaw?
No, this is one odd bird. Consorts with crazies, does rituals and the like, bone charms and such.
You sound afraid.
Damn right I am. Down ain't no ordinary man. Touched by the outsider he is, given dark powers. He can slit your throat across the room.
Corvo sneaks into the gang's facility and poisons the still on behalf of Granny Rags. We get our rune and go ahead to the main mission, entering Holger Square, and immediately we see Overseer Martin chained up as a spectacle. Breaking him free, Martin reveals more information on our attempt, and we start the infiltration. Immediately, we get our conversation about the Heretic's brand, some sort of symbol burned onto any overseer that disobeys the core tenets of their order. I wonder if this will be brought back somehow. Anyways, Corvo learns that there are multiple pathways to finding your target, and already the game was rewarding the player with exploration. Not only are you getting these stunning visuals of theological courtyard and scripture on tablets, you can also find this hidden contraband room where two overseers are trying to steal from Campbell himself.
And I've told you 100 times, Archer, that I am certain he keeps the Black Book on his person at all times. We went to the trouble of breaking into Campbell's sanctum for nothing.
It's moments like these that create the living world and catapult Dishonored beyond just gameplay. Entering the monastery, or whatever the overseers call this place, you get another look inside society. A group of worshippers listens to one of the devout talking about the tenets of their order. These moments drill into the psyche of the player, formulating their own imagination on how powerful these overseers are and what Corvo has gotten himself into. Luckily, you have enough at your disposal now to beat the game. Yes, I'm not joking. Some people beat the game even without using powers, or so I've heard. Whatever you want to do, you'll probably be able to do it, if you know where to look. Disarming guards, sneaking through hallways, discovering notes was always fun, but finding the special neutralization on your target was the chef's kiss. But not yet, since we had another matter to attend to. Remember Callista's uncle? I wanted to do a good run through, so with him getting poisoned, that didn't sit right with me.
Will you have wine? It's a Tivian red.
Thank you.
What on... Who's been in here? I owe you an apology, Captain. This is hardly the hospitality I planned for you.
Dishonored always manages to make the player in control. A juxtaposition to the beginning while Corvo was being dangled watching the Empress die. We make our daring rescue, even if it has us choking the poor dude out. With the uncle safely tucked away, we go back into the facility and find Campbell in his underground vault. One sleep dart later and voila, we have the High Overseer unconscious. Now, I do want to say that anyone can choose their way of going about the game. For myself, I utilize sleep darts maybe a bit too much, but they just come in handy so often. We lug the High Overseer all the way to the interrogation room and then do something worse than death. Corvo brands him with that same brand we heard the guards discussing. You can even find an excerpt from a scroll talking about people with the brand and how they're rejected by all in society, so bye-bye job. This was satisfying, and just like the Hitman games, made me think of more elaborate ways of going about dispatching Corvo's foes. We get back to Samuel, and I love that he always has something to talk about at the beginning and end of a mission. I guess the game kind of needed it too, since Corvo is the silent type. Back at the Hound Pits, Callista thanks us for helping out her uncle, and we're briefed on what's to come next. With Campbell's journal being read over now, and the Lord Regent knowing Corvo has escaped, things seem to be headed in the right direction.
Our entire movement will mean nothing if we can't place the rightful heir on the throne.
From time to time, you'll hear loudspeaker announcements in-game, and I enjoyed the Big Brother-esque feeling I got from them.
Attention, Dunwall citizens. You are reminded that assaulting a member of the City Watch has been made a capital offense, and guardsmen are authorized to carry out this sentence on the spot.
Even though the Hound Pits is in condemned territory, the government or monarchy can still speak into the ears of the dissenters. But before we get into the big political assassinations, Admiral Havelock asks us to deal with something called a Weeper. I assume someone who has succumbed to the plague, and that's why they dump bodies or cremate them. Weepers are easily dealt with when there are just one or two, but you'll have to reload a save if they swarm you with greater numbers. Luckily, playing a less chaotic campaign yields less of them. Corvo returns to the bar where the Admiral and Martin discuss the next moves after the journal reveals Emily's whereabouts. She's held up in some brothel, and worse off is that Pendleton's brothers are involved in keeping her there. Pendleton does talk to Corvo before departing about how his brothers are scum and what we're doing is righteous, so I guess we've gotten the green light.
Further, my brothers are close allies to the Lord Regent, and as long as they are in Parliament, we cannot gather the votes we'll need to stop the Lord Regent from further consolidating his power. These days, they're best known for exploiting their favor with him to cheat others out of their wealth. Let's just say that not every family evicted and quarantined for having the plague actually has the plague.
Samuel gives us the level briefing from the boat, and we have a fair bit of the city to maneuver before getting to the Golden Cat. But I wasn't expecting what part. We're back in the same level, just this time it's daytime, and things are getting a little testy in the streets. I absolutely love seeing environmental changes when going through previous levels, especially when they affect gameplay. These defensive towers are quick to spot and kill you, but they're not invincible. I did try my best to avoid them. I was also interested to see if anyone would recognize I was the one that tainted the still in the first place.
That's what they get for taking free swigs from the still. That tainted elixir is bad stuff, I guess.
We meet Slackjaw, who informs Corvo that he also wants to see the Pendleton brothers taken out, and he has an undetectable way of getting inside the Golden Cat, but of course we'll need to do something for him.
Someone, I don't know who, is killing my men, taking my territory, stealing my goods.
Ironically, Slackjaw does not know it was us that poisoned his bootleg and sends us again to the doctor's home, the one where we first got the mutagen to spoil the broth, if you will. Apparently, he had sent his best man over, but hasn't heard from him in a couple of days. Back in Galvini's lab, we see Slackjaw's right-hand man dead, and 2 guards over the body, trying to figure out what to do. Silencing them, we grab the audiograph conveniently placed alongside the body and mosey our way back to Slackjaw to give him the recording.
It's me, Crowley. I'm making this in case I don't make it back. You was right. There is someone wants you dead.
Even though the audio recording didn't bring up any new information, Slackjaw apparently keeps his promises and gives Corvo a key to an abandoned hotel right next to the Golden Cat, giving him an easy entrance into the level. I really enjoyed the fact that each level was its own distinct arena, rather than a point of interest in some open world. These smaller vistas and play areas actually make the gameplay mechanics better, since the interactions are more condensed. I think I would have gotten a bit bored with the blinking if I had to do it 1,000 times to traverse Dunwall itself, not like traversing small levels, if that makes sense. The Golden Cat was a complicated level. There were lots of entry points, and the game won't tell you if you've done something correct or not. I also had a hard time figuring out what the neutralization method for both brothers were, and unfortunately I didn't find out. There was a small moment where you can find the art dealer in the shock chair, and I coerced him into giving up details on his save combination.
Call my servants. We're done.
We're done, I said. Retribution! Now let me out! What the? Who is this? What do you want?
Without finding the alternative method for the brothers, they went in cold blood. But we're here to find Emily, since Campbell's black book described her here, and after rummaging through the headmistress's office, we find out that Emily is indeed at the Golden Cat, held upstairs.
Corvo, it's you! You're wearing a mask to sneak around, aren't you?
Reuniting with Emily felt great, and the way that Corvo picks her up like his own child was interesting to say the least. Emily talks about a special door that VIPs use, and we take her that way. But as Corvo steps through the door, we're greeted by none other than Granny Rags again, talking about her sweet little birds and Emily, which I immediately went, "You're not getting near her."
It's good to see you again, dear. But don't dally, or that young girl might fall in the river.
Emily, Samuel, and Corvo return to the Hound Pits to a big crowd. Callista takes charge of Emily's education, while the Admiral congratulates Corvo on his abilities. Pendleton has a quick soliloquy on killing his 2 brothers, and just like that, we're briefed on our next mission.
Martin's devised our next move. There's a footnote in Campbell's journal that tells us the Lord Regent's mistress sat for a portrait with Sokolov, the painter and royal physician. He'll be able to give us her name.
Sokolov, the guy that painted Campbell at the beginning, and who we've heard and seen ads for all around the city, is our next target. I guess the Loyalists want Sokolov out of the picture since he designs almost all of the defense systems for the Empire. We get another amazing visual as we approach the bridge, the neighborhood Sokolov lives in. The London Bridge theme is apparent, but there's enough unique flair that Dishonored brings to the table to make it their own. At this point, Corvo and I were jamming when it came to circumnavigating guards or going on a choking spree. Finally, we arrive at Sokolov's and breach the defenses, which wasn't so tough. I enjoyed this neat moment where you can hear Sokolov recording an audiograph and then you can play it back. This is a small gesture, but I enjoyed how it made the other audiographs seem even more real.
Has great potential, according to the latest celestial alignment. As for test subject 312, after the characteristic sloughing of the skin, she should be dead by mid-morning tomorrow.
With the sleep dart in Sokolov, we get back to Samuel, who is excited for what we're accomplishing. I really tried for low chaos since when I first played this game, I was a little saddened by the ending if you go full chaotic. Also, who wants to deal with more rats and weepers? Sokolov is going to be imprisoned by the Loyalists, and the Admiral mentions some of Sokolov's achievements. You can talk to Piero too, who claims that Sokolov actually stole the elixir formula from him, which gave a bit more color to their backstory. Obviously, the two scientists have worked together before. The player has the choice of either going to bed each time they return from a mission, or you're able to explore the grounds of the Hound Pit. I think I explored each time, and I'm glad I did since there was a lot to explore with dialogues or knowing what the hell was happening with Emily. I will concede that the main story of Dishonored, if the player decided to go head on, would be one that lacked profoundness. Reading through scrolls you'll find while exploring or taking the time to develop characters like Emily and Callista truly make the world of Dunwall tangible and worth it for anyone that hasn't played.
She'd rather hold her spoon by the wrong end and pretend it's a sword. Then suddenly she changes and she's all manners, asking for a tea party. I tried to oblige her, but I have little to work with. No proper plates. Instead of a cloth napkin, I've only the bar rack. Ale mugs instead of teacups. I've asked for things befitting her, but they have their minds on other things. For now, Emily and I decided to make a pretend dinner using paper and little things she's found here and there. On the floor, I suppose. Not right for a princess, but it'll have to do.
The next day, Sokolov is being interrogated by the Admiral and Corvo, trying to figure out how to get close to the Lord Regent, aka Lex Luthor. The player could either go with torturing Sokolov with rats or a more diplomatic option, giving him alcohol.
King Street brandy? I didn't know any more existed. It is an extraordinary gift. I see I'm dealing with men of taste.
With him sort of on our side, Sokolov divulges that he has painted the Lord Regent's mistress, but that her face was never revealed to him. Only a name was given: Boyle. The Boyles are part of the noble houses and are protected day and night. Luckily, there is a masked event tonight at their very estate, and since Sokolov won't be there, we'll take his place. The Admiral gives us the plan, figure out which Boyle sister is connected to the Lord Regent, and take care of her. Which, in retrospect, wouldn't it be better to get information from her? We'll see, but before we can go raging at the masked ball, Pendleton stops us and asks for a small favor: to give Lord Shaw a sealed note. Corvo accepts, not thinking anything of it.
Good grief, the Lord Regent's pulling out all the stops for the Boyle family. I didn't think there'd be tall boys patrolling here tonight. Watch yourself, Corvo. They don't fool around.
These level transitions on Samuel's boat are fantastic and truly set the atmosphere for the level ahead. Things seem to be escalating quickly, and with the backdrop which gave me Bloodborne vibes, I was all here for it. First, we find another rune altar to the outsider who gives us a prophecy about Lady Boyle. Either she dies tonight or lives out her days far away. But he also asks Corvo whether he thought he would be mingling with nobles from prison. It feels like a jab at what the Loyalists are using Corvo for. Passing by patrols, we eavesdrop on some party goers and luckily get one of their invitations.
Maddie, don't chase after that. You don't know what's in those buildings.
No place is safe anymore. I don't understand what's happened to this city.
Even though the gate guard let us through, he does comment on Corvo's mask.
No
Look at that mask. Sick bastard.
I thought this was a neat detail because it shows that the nobility can get away with anything. Think about this doorman who I'm assuming is commissioned by the Empire. Seeing a party goer dressed up as the assassin that a lot of people think killed the Empress and stole her daughter, it's kind of crazy, right? For such a small moment, it made a big impact on me. Inside the estate, we meet with Lord Shaw, and I didn't expect this, but we were set up by Pendleton to be his challenger for a duel.
Pendleton is a gutless, lying sack of shit. I hope he's paying you well for this.
As angry as I was at the blatant setup, we also had the stop time power, so I wasn't sweating too much. But using it had another reactionary detail I wasn't expecting.
Witchcraft. Outside. Black magic.
How dare they? They didn't say anything about the rules. I thought I had messed up the level, but surprisingly it was only a voice line and the two guards of Lord Shaw's kind of just chilled out for the rest of the time. This was an amazing level. Not only infiltrating your way into an aristocratic party, but having the upstairs portion being off limits and being able to mingle with party goers felt great.
Oh, leave him be. Go ahead, help yourself. I take everything I can carry. They'll never miss it.
Plus the mystery of which Boyle sister was which, each having a distinct color but all of them wearing masks, was an interesting dynamic. You'll get clues to help you from different party goers and find out which Boyle sister is the Lord Regent's mistress. Yet while talking to other people, we're approached by another noble who claims to know of our plans tonight, but wants a different outcome.
I swear that if you'll bring her to me unharmed, you will never hear of her again.
Yeah, I don't know how comfortable I feel about this. This guy literally wants to kidnap Esma, the Boyle sister we're looking for, and take her away, stating he thinks it's better than death. I don't know, man. In the DLC, which we'll talk about later on, we stuff a person into a shipping crate destined for the other side of the world, and that felt morally better than this bit. But I digress. With the Boyle sister ID'd, we convince her there's an attack on her life and to meet us in the cellar where we sleep dart her and put her on the gondola. Yeah, for a neutralization, this didn't feel great.
You'll never know how happy you've made me. Someday she'll learn to appreciate me. After all, she'll have her whole life.
Back at headquarters, Pendleton tells us that Boyle was a viper and deserved what she got, plus that we protected Pendleton's honor by winning the duel, dark magic or not. Martin and the Admiral discuss the next moves with Corvo, stating that the Lord Regent is at an all-time paranoia level, which I don't think helps, to be honest, and we're one strike away from putting Emily on the throne. Cool.
So at Dunwall Tower, he has consolidated every remaining loyal man around him.
He knows something is coming. He knows you are coming. And everything depends on him being correct.
So the Lord Regent is quote-unquote exposed and hiding away in Dunwall Tower, now that the nobles are turning loyalists and the guard is running amok. We're back where it all started, and again Dishonored does this so well. It's the same but different.
You ready? Next time I see you, the Lord Regent will be dead. And if not, well, it was an honor to serve with you.
Having to use powers this time to ascend the waterlock was awesome, and there was this sense of revenge I hadn't felt in the other missions. This one was personal. The inside tower design was great, and with some cool side objectives like getting the propaganda speaker to give us the information on how to spread the new word was another moment that solidified the world building. All these messages that we've been hearing over the loudspeakers, it was this guy. We steal the Lord Regent's audio tapes like a Nixon parody and broadcast them to the Empire, neutralizing the Lord Regent and starting the revolution, or I guess real succession. I have no idea at this point. You can also find two guards arresting the Lord Regent in the close by hallway, and even though we didn't knife him through the bloody head, this was satisfying enough.
This is treason!
It's over, Hiram. Your head will roll for what you've done.
No! I'll make you rich men if you just let me go. I beg you.
You nearly destroyed this city. No amount of money will undo that. Get him ready for the walk to Coldridge Prison.
Samuel has a melancholy moment as we arrive back at the Hound Pits to celebrate the downing of the Lord Regent. Corvo and the others cheers, and I had a feeling that this was too good of an ending, and a short one at that.
To Corvo, the man who served to change the course of history.
To Emily Corvo, and the new dawn rising for Dunwall and the Empire.
Samuel, you move like you've been drinking. Did the poison work its magic? Is he dead?
It better have worked. It cost me a month's profit.
Ah, damn. Conniving men connive some more. Samuel was tasked with poisoning Corvo on the command of the Admiral, Martin, and Pendleton, which is messed up in all types of ways. Firstly, they all claim to try to clear Corvo's name, but by giving the body, they're playing into the narrative that he did murder the Empress. Corvo also did all of the murdering or neutralization for these asses. So as surprised as I was they wouldn't want to triple check the kill and stab him 1,000 times, they never did get blood on their hands, only using others for their ambitions.
I'm sorry something terrible, Corvo, but I only gave you half the poison. They were watching me and it was all I could think to do. I think you're strong enough to survive that. I'll put you on a raft and then I've got to ship out myself before they find out I've gone against their wishes. Snakes. They'll want to do the same to me as soon as I've outlived my uses.
I absolutely forgot about this plot beat since it's been like 13 years since I played the game last. There's a saying in Dunwall, or maybe it's the Isles. No, Dunwall. Get betrayed the first time, shame on me. Get betrayed a second time, knives in you. Floating down in some death boats, some of the same armored enemies from the Empress's assassination show up, IDing Corvo and capturing him. Corvo is hoisted up in some contraption, and the assassin's leader admits to killing the Empress and then throws away our stuff. What a dick. Knocked out by one of the goons, Corvo gets a quick outsider moment where he names the assassin's leader as Dowd, and then we wake up with some easily escapable prison cell. Like, they know Corvo has the mark and everything, right? I feel like chaining him down would be the only way to, keep him there. But I digress. Escaping was fun, and I really enjoyed the environment we were in. This truly felt like an abandoned or condemned quarter, with all the water levels rising and the juxtaposition to the estate, or even the first couple of levels. This is what people were talking about when they said the plague takes a toll. After retrieving our items, we head to Dowd's base, and I love the visual storytelling leading up to this encounter. Seeing all these fresh overseer bodies made me think about what we were walking into. Taking down Dowd's assassins was difficult, but fun since the level itself had a lot of open verticality, which other levels didn't usually have. What I mean is that the height of the player wasn't obfuscated by buildings. If you were in the open, an assassin probably was going to see you. It made stealth and timing a lot more focused, but with patience, we finally get to Dowd. My first attempt was to slow down time, but he must be marked by the outsider as well, since he can react to your spell and fight you in sort of real time, which again was a cool detail. I did manage to neutralize him, but wanted to say I understand if people cut his throat. This does come back later, so I was happy with my choice. With Dowd knocked out, his key taken, we escape the flooded district and try to get past the quarantine zone. Come on, folks, the developer's visual storytelling is outstanding. Did this kind of stuff resonate with you as it did for me? I thought it was interesting that the interiors actually paled in comparison to the exterior visuals that we were getting, but I'd love to hear what you think. Our escape leads us to two familiar faces, oddly enough, Granny Rags and Slackjaw. one of which is in a precarious position. Again, I was trying not to go chaotic, and I think Granny Rags having a stew cooking out of whale bones, intending a sacrifice of human potential, seemed a bit chaotic to me.
Are you ready to help get Slackjaw's bones? Granny has some birthday gifts for you. I've been saving them up in case you ever came back to me.
Slackjaw somehow knows that Granny Rags has some idle Horcrux that connects her in this living realm, which we can easily grab and throw into the furnace. Yeah, that's peak video game logic. I was a bit bemused by it all, but wasn't impressed. I did enjoy the macabre dead whale hanging over the ritual site though. It gives off Cthulhu Innsmouth vibes, which I always enjoy. Corvo traverses more sewers and finally gets back to the Hound Pits, which has seen better days.
Oh, it's you, Corvo. Thank the stars. We all thought you'd been killed, except for Samuel. He seemed sure you'd survived. I saw him on the river shortly before the killing began. He was smart enough not to come ashore, but I'll bet he's still out there. Looking for you is my guess. At first, Pendleton said it was time for our bonus. Havelock stood behind them, and at the signal, he shot them each in the back of the head. Just like the target drills he used to.
Cecilia, a small side character from before, recounts the horrifying aftermath of Corvo's poisoning. I did have to fist bump myself since Cecilia claims that Callista was spared by the Admiral because of the uncle we saved. That felt good. But it seemed like the three men tried to clean house. We get another fantastic guard dialogue talking about how badass Corvo is, but have to stealth around to meet Callista, who says Emily has been taken, and find out that Piero and Sokolov have hidden away in the workshop. These two really gave me the Eli and Kleiner vibes, and I know I'm saying vibes a lot, but as someone who's played these games since 1998, you can see where influences come from. It's just like the movie Savant knowing those progressions. The two scientists devised a plan to break out, but it's up to Corvo on how severe the defense will be. The player will make the choice on whether to create a murder machine capable of killing all people for I think 50 meters, or one that knocks them out. I think if we're going to be building a nation ourselves, vaporizing dissenters would not be a good place to start, so we chose the knockout effect.
Amazing. Simply amazing. It functioned beyond my greatest expectations. It defies description. A device like this will ensure Dunwall's security for a century.
Sokolov gives us somewhat of a powerful philosophy lesson, and our trustworthy Samuel is at the boat dock. He does give us fair warning that the people we help put in power are in power now. Martin is head of the overseers, Admiral is controlling the military, and Pendleton the aristocracy, all of whom have retreated back to some defensive lighthouse they've been working on with Emily, so this won't be a walk in the park. I was actually wrong, very wrong. I had to look this up, but depending on your chaos at the time, this level was extremely different. There's almost no guards on duty, and I think I had to choke out only 5 to get to the main objective. As much as I enjoyed the details from the environment, I couldn't help but feel a little underwhelmed. And it goes further. Getting to the top level of the lighthouse, I thought I had messed up, or there was some secret timer, but no. Only Havelock remains, and he's talking drunken nonsense, while Martin has been poisoned? God, these guys suck. I choked out the Admiral, but now in retrospect, I'm assuming you could talk to him? Regardless, with Havelock neutralized, Martin dead, and Pendleton nowhere to be found, the last thing was opening the door to Emily's room, and that was the end? Really?
Corvo! I knew you'd come. Is it going to be okay now? Will I be Empress?
There is a good ending credits sort of deal where the outsider outlines what the player's choices have done to the world, sort of like the Fallout endings. I'm a sucker for these since I feel like I did some good in this wild city of Dunwall.
And protecting her from those who seek to exploit her or cause her harm. You watched and listened when other men would have shouted in rage. You held back instead of striking. So it is, with the passing of the plague and Emily's ascension, comes a golden age, brought about by your hand.
However, I was a bit surprised on how sudden this all felt. Did anyone else feel this way? I thought the betrayal was going to be another couple of missions, not just the lighthouse. Then not having the ability to get one of the men who betrayed you just seemed weird. Yet the ending didn't ruin my experience, it was just abrupt. It also made me immediately go into the DLCs, which helped alleviate some of the lackluster taste of the main's ending.
One more job shouldn't have mattered. I'd killed nobles before. You could float a whaling ship, and the highborn blood I've spilled. Another noble steps in to replace the last one. All equally corrupt. Why should an empress be different?
Whoa, time reverse. Were you ready for that? Well, there are 2 DLCs for Dishonored, The Knife of Dunwall and Brigmore Witches, both following Dowd, the assassin from earlier who we choked out instead of killing. The first cutscene is the Empress's assassination, from Dowd's perspective, and oh boy was this a great narrative switch that hit home. Maybe it's Michael Madsen who voices Dowd giving an excellent performance, or maybe it was the mirrored story similar to Half-Life's opposing force or Blue Shift. No matter what, seeing the first-person view of the killing was brutal and significant. This is what leads to all of this chaos and death. Dowd even knows killing the Empress was a mistake, morally and otherwise, even if he is marked by the Outsider. Speaking of the devil, Dowd and the Outsider have a chance to talk after the killing, where the Outsider gives an interesting piece of information that there are only 8 people marked like Corvo or Dowd. I'm guessing that the others that use teleportation or lesser black magic don't have the mark but still are capable, but for like time stoppage or other crazy usage, that only comes with the mark. The Outsider warns Dowd of consequences for his actions, but also that he'll be watching us with intent, whatever that means. He also tells us that our end is near, but one more thing before we die, starting with the name Delilah.
I'm here to give you one last gift, Dowd. It's a mystery. One that starts with a name. Delilah.
Off we go adventuring.
I needed to find my next move, but all I had was that name. Delilah. Who was she? A threat? Or an ally?
The DLC works a bit differently than the base game, for its advantage. At the start of missions, you'll be able to purchase upgrades, ammo, the regular things from the base game. One of the cooler additions is something called favors, which for a certain price will unlock certain things in the level you're about to play. I really enjoyed that dynamic and wanted them to have put it in the base game, since having something else to spend your cash on other than upgrades would have been nice. Regardless, we're following the Delilah lead, and with the help of our second-in-command, Billy Lurk, we're sneaking around some whaling butcher factory that's run by some Union buster, who might have information on a ship named Delilah. The DLC levels are a bit bigger than the base game too, which I very much enjoyed. It gave more to explore, and Dowd is nimbler than our friend Corvo, at least with level 2 agility. Dispatching guards and clearing the path felt exhilarating, just like in the main game. Plus the fact that the interior was so well made and designed, there was just a lot more detail in these levels. This showcased the art style and maybe a clearer vision for the functionalities of the universe itself. This place felt like it could be run, and I could see why workers would be striking. We eavesdrop on the owner Rothwild's conversation with some Union spy and sleep dart him for neutralization. The Union spy does ask Dowd to blow up the facility, but I don't think I could have interrogated Rothwild and blown the facility as well. At least I couldn't figure out how to. I did put the whale out of its misery though, poor thing. Using Rothwild's own torture chair against him, Dowd and Billy Lurk learn that Delilah is a ship that sails under Rothwild's company. However, it was not him that named him, but another person.
Who was the previous owner?
Barrister Timish, all right?
He told me the story. Delilah was a woman he knew.
Delilah apparently is a woman from the Dunwall Tower who seemingly used black magic on the Barrister to manipulate him into buying her the ship and other things. But before we go on that lead, we have to decide what to do with Rothwild. Remember how I mentioned a while ago mailing someone halfway around the world? Well, yeah, this is it. Sealing him away, we've neutralized our target and have information on Delilah. Dowd gives us the rundown and we begin the hunt for the Barrister.
But Barrister Timish was also fighting a private war with his own niece. Something to do with the family fortune. Lurk was probably right. We needed to speak with the niece first. Her feud with the old Barrister was something we could use.
It starts with meeting Thalia, the Barrister's niece, who is in a bit of trouble. Dealing with the Hat Gang, and it won't be the last time, Thalia mentions that she needs her uncle's will and last testament in order for the inheritance to go to her. And if we were to procure that, she would spill the beans on Delilah. This level had a lot of entryways, and I did not play it well. I did start off at the top of the house where we meet none other than Delilah herself, but in a statue form.
I was a baker's apprentice in Dunwall Tower. A friend to Jessamine when we were girls. Then afterward, I made my name as a painter. Now, I am obviously something much greater. I hope that satisfies you. Because you won't get more.
She explains that she knows about us, and there are bigger things happening, so stay away from her. I did laugh when she says she doesn't care what we do with Timish, since she's already used him up. I thought that was kind of diabolical, even for a witch. Now, I said I didn't play this level right, and there really isn't a right way to play the game. Hell, you could go Rambo and still complete the mission. I will say that I tried to do it stealthily and came up short. You're supposed to spike the air filtration system with some gnarly thing and exchange papers on Timish so when he exits the building, due to the sheer vulgarity of the smell, he's arrested by some of the Emperor's guards for false documents. But I didn't do this and the guy gets away with it.
And this document seems to be in order, but we can't meet under these conditions. We'll wait for the building to air out and then conduct our business.
Of course.
It led to this abomination of an assassination and my head down in shame.
Get around it! I know you're here. I know you're here somewhere, Tom.
We did get Timish's will and give it to Thalia, who discloses what we already sort of knew. Delilah is a witch and put a spell on Timish to sap him of all his resources and wealth. Having Dowd voiced, especially by such an iconic voice, added so much personality to the game and atmosphere. You get more on Dowd and how never to judge a book by its cover. Well, he does murder a ton of people, but he does help kids off the streets, so that's something. We get back to the flooded district and lo and behold, we had just been here with Corvo not too long ago. Overseers have assaulted the headquarters, which perplexed Dowd since the Zealots never had ventured out of the quarantine zone before. We have to release 3 of our assassins, and I love taking on the Overseers as Dowd. He does not mess around, especially utilizing Blink, which has a built-in time stop that allows for much more strategic choice. Dowd finds a detailed plan of the Overseer's attack, which means someone gave up the group, but in the end we hold back the attack, but still suffer some consequences.
It seems the Overseers are marching into the flooded district, planning a massive assault against us. This Overseer Hume went against orders and attacked early. Our men, the ones you freed, were able to rout the remaining Zealots. This place belongs to us again.
How did the cursed Overseers find us?
It's my fault. I told Delilah where we were hidden. She wanted me to turn on you.
You did this.
But I can't go through with it.
Billy Lurk admits to being the rat for Delilah, no less, but didn't go fully with the plan or something. Delilah shows up angry, but also doesn't want to interfere with Dowd's choice on whether to spare Billy or kill her. Another interesting choice since Billy has a standalone DLC, which we won't get to today.
I thought, between the 3 of us, we'd have you dead to rights.
We can blame the Zealots for that. Overseer Hume was too quick to move.
My life is yours now. Kill me, or let me live. If it even matters to you.
Touching and pathetic. If I see either of you again, I'll tear out your stone-cold hearts and walk in your skin.
And that's the Knife of Dunwall. Short and sweet, but no resolutions, so thank God for the Brigmore witches.
And now the world's gone mad. Plague grinds the city down. Corruption rots. A mad killer roams the streets by night, seeking revenge. The overseers have stormed my hideout in the flooded district. And I'm in a strange duel with a mad witch named Delilah for the fate of the Empire. I'd say I was being punished, but I know that the world doesn't punish wicked people. We make our choices and take what comes. And the rest is void.
I did find it kind of annoying to have to switch between DLC menus, but it also reminded me of how far we've come. Don't get me started with dial-up sounds. The DLC starts off with Dowd making an audiograph note, then Corvo popping in for some surreal duel. Dowd is awoken by one of his henchmen who says information that we've been looking for is here, and it has something to do with Lizzie Stride and transportation.
I found Lizzie Stride. Getting her to lend us her boat will be a bit complicated, however.
She's also in Coldridge, which we know well by now, and the next cutscene does make a bit more sense out of all of this.
Delilah doesn't leave Brigmore Manor anymore. She doesn't have to. Which means I have to come to her.
We need Lizzie Stride's boat to get to Delilah. I guess Dowd wants to end this vendetta or go after Delilah for the outsiders' sake. Dowd easily breaks into the prison and gets information on Lizzie's whereabouts, which had us using this cool cell lock contraption that had specific codes. Lizzie takes some convincing, but we manage to strike a deal to deal with her crew's mutiny in exchange for passage on the ship. Dowd and Lizzie escape the prison, and next up is some Gangs of Dunwall action.
You ain't a real gang! You're just a bunch of mudlarks!
Come on and fight! Or are you too busy making dresses?
One of our henchmen tells us that the gangs are fighting again, which I took more comically than maybe it was intended. We easily sneak through the crew, and who knew it would only take one chokehold and we'd be in business. Lizzie returns and has this awesome speech about who owes her for the double cross, and I felt the charm and weight of the delivery.
Following people each owe me a finger. Logan, Douglas, Bang Bang, Ferris, Pigface, the Bakers, and Annabelle.
Shit.
2 from you, Annabelle. Have a good night.
Unfortunately, we're not ready to set sail just yet, since one of the gangs has stolen an essential piece of the ship, which leaves us stranded. We'll need to persuade the geezer, or so he's called, into giving it back to us, or finding another method. Our henchmen cue us in on the mission. Apparently the whole facility the gang runs out of is rigged with nerve gas, so if we kill this guy, we'll probably be dead or have killed a bunch of innocents. Infiltrating the compound, we peep through the keyhole to find the geezer and some other fellow who seems to be using the old man to his advantage. A pseudo power of gang appointment? Bad joke. Also, I swear the dude is wearing pants, even though it doesn't look like it from here. A sleep dart later and we talk to the geezer, who apparently knows Dowd and why he's here. We make a deal for the engine coil, but in return we have to kill the geezer. To get away with all of this, we have to concoct an antitoxin to the nerve gas, and off we go getting those resources, which are scattered around the various levels. Dowd ventures into the sewers and has this encounter.
Are you alright?
Oh, sir, thank you for finding me. It's been awful. There are such terrible things down here.
But nothing as terrible as
I guess the witches are on to us. We buy another resource from some vendor, and with all the ingredients form the antitoxin. Back with the geezer, he gives us the okay to take him off the machine, and I thought this was really sad. Even if it had an interesting design, I felt bad for the guy. But I'm glad that he could make his choice in the matter.
I need that combination. Right. You did your part. The number is 3, 8.
But then he dies before giving the full code, so I guess it's okay since it's only 3 digits and we got 2 of them, but I was a little taken aback by this trope. With the engine coil that looks like it's from the beta of Fallout 4, we make it to Lizzie and venture off to the Brigmore Manor to confront Delilah. This was a cool set of events, and I liked how it ventured more into the dark magic mystery than the political coup from the main campaign. Dowd gives us more thoughtfulness through his eyes, stating that the outsider has obviously sent him here for a reason, and that Delilah is cooking up something bad, which I guess is all that Dowd needs to go through with the mission. Again, each level is a visual treat, especially the larger DLC ones. This felt like an abandoned manor, and I enjoyed the different entryways you could discover. Because I paid for a favor to have an informant witch meet me, I was pleasantly surprised to find out it wasn't a trap. I was able to gain access to the manor through the crypt, bypassing almost all of the exterior witches. Inside was a creepy aesthetic, and the witches using teleports was difficult to predict, causing a lot of restarts. You could also hear some conversations about previous targets, which made me think the witches had their eyes set on some bigger fish. After getting lost inside and having to look up where to go next, Dowd finds Delilah's creative room and deciphers what she intends to do.
So Delilah wants to use Emily to become Empress.
So yeah, I guess Delilah wants to control Emily through black magic, painting, ritual, something, and take control of the Empire that way. Kind of a genius way, since Corvo and the others are 100% into bringing Emily up as the new Empress, so Delilah could take control and she would be protected if she played her cards right. This also brings up a kind of redemption theme for Dowd, since he stated his guilt for killing Emily's mom and now has an opportunity to save her life. Using Delilah's lantern, which we got from her studio, Dowd reveals the painting where Delilah has been hiding. But before we confront her, the outsider has a few choice words for us, and I'm beginning to believe, despite him contradicting the statement, he does play favorites.
She creates images, but she does more. She captures spirit. She insinuates her will into her subject, whatever it is. We're witnessing her masterpiece, and perhaps yours as well. I gave you Delilah's name, and you followed it to this moment. You see now what hangs in the balance. Emily's life, Delilah's ambition, an empire in the act of crumbling. In your long life, I've rarely seen you act with such consummate grace. I give my marks sparingly, and I don't play favorites. But I will watch this.
Dowd and Delilah have their narrative confrontation, and instead of sparing her life, I chose to take it since being able to take control of people is a liability to say the least. Also, this was pretty satisfying.
Don't bother. You killed her mother in front of her and sold her to a gang of murderous crooks. You think she's fit for the throne? No. The girl Emily Caldwin will have the mind of Delilah the First, who did not inherit everything she got, but came to power through the force of her own genius.
Your genius couldn't keep me from reaching you. It won't save you now. I murdered an empress, but saved her daughter, who will one day rule the Empire. Those were my choices. I'm ready for what comes.
Even more satisfying was the ending on this cutscene that shows Corvo and Dowd's interaction during the main campaign. I thought this was great since I spared Dowd's life as Corvo, then seeing it transpire through the cutscene made me feel like I had done the right thing, and left room to continue both of their stories. And that's it for Dishonored. What a fantastic game. From the visual storytelling to the insanely addictive gameplay, intriguing exploration, and exhilarating level designs, Dishonored deserves to be ranked up there with some of the best of that era. Even though the main story kind of fell apart at the end, the accompanying DLCs and replayability lend itself so much to what made this game so good. If this is what the first game could do, I cannot wait to see what Dishonored 2 has in store. And thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear your thoughts on the game, what you enjoyed or what you felt like hasn't aged well. I look forward to those comments, and as always, talk to you next time.
So what's he doing now? Waiting. He's probably watching us right now. With that crazy mask on. Creeping closer and closer, ever closer, until...
Cut it out. What's so impressive about Corvo anyway? Who's he got up against? A couple of high overseers, a couple of noblemen? He could never stand up to men with our training.